Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Q&A for the 2024 San Francisco Independent Film Festival, SF Indie Fest. Today we are going to do the Q&A for the feature film, Am I Sick? I Think I'm Sick. And we have the filmmakers here with us. Hey, filmmakers.
What's going on? Danny here.
Good to
I'm
have
the
you here.
writer and
Yeah.
director.
Yeah. Go ahead and introduce yourself, please. Danny, you go first.
Yeah, I'm Danny, writer and director from Philadelphia.
And I'm Tyler. I'm one of the producers on the film. Accidentally a producer on the film. We can get into that
And where are
later.
you calling in from?
Just outside of Toronto, Canada.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Two great cities. I should talk to you guys offline. I think maybe you're some football fans too. I heard you talking about sports earlier.
Big Birds
Yeah.
fan. We got a playoff game tonight. Team's not looking good, so hopefully we can pull it together for the wild card game tonight.
Right on. Well, thanks for joining us, coming all the way in from Toronto, Philadelphia. So, how did this film come to be? Tyler, you mentioned you accidentally got involved. Maybe start with that.
Yes, sure. So I have a unique job of helping YouTubers behind the scenes, and the guy I work with most closely, Matty Apoya, he's executive producer on the film. He's got over 1 million subscribers, specifically in the filmmaking niche within YouTube, teaching filmmaking. And through that, we met Danny, and just saw the talent behind Danny, and I started working behind the scenes with Danny as well. And then probably 3 years working with Danny behind the scenes, he comes to us and says, "I've written a feature script. Let's see if we can get this thing made." And kind of outside of the YouTube world, we're like, I think we can do this kind of a new school way. So that's kind of where we reached out to brands that we worked with in the past, did some crowdfunding with these guys' audience, and looked for investments from this creator YouTuber world, and ended up getting enough funds to greenlight the film, and we made it. Danny
Are
made it.
you a full-time producer?
I would call myself more maybe a manager on the YouTube side of things, not a traditional manager, but working with brands and businessy things on the YouTube side of things. So this being one of Danny's kind of uniquenesses to himself, we thought we'd go for it, and we were able to show the behind the scenes. Danny can explain more on his YouTube channel and of how he made the film, and he was labbed up the whole time during the shoot, and made some behind the scenes episodes, kind of like DVD extra features that are available on YouTube. And that was one of the ways that we got sponsorships to fund the film. And yeah, it was a very, very unique way to get the film made. But I think regardless of how it was made, I think it ended up being a really, really great film.
Indeed. Yeah. Well done, guys. Truly agree with that. We'll talk more about the details of the film. Danny, first feature film, first
First
script.
feature film. Yeah, yeah. So I come from the commercial documentary music video background. So this was really my first like actual narrative project, to be honest with you. Skipped over the short film process of making short films and whatnot.
Pretty
Like Tyler
brave.
mentioned, yeah, like Tyler mentioned, like I had the YouTube audience. I knew I would at least have people that I could watch it. Like worst case scenario, I just upload it to YouTube and there's an audience there and people to support it. So if I was going to invest all the time and getting talent and locations and all the stuff that goes into making a short film, why not just extend it a little bit and go for the home run of the feature?
As a YouTuber, was that always your kind of passion or dream to be a filmmaker?
Yeah, so I was always a filmmaker first. I like to think of
Okay,
myself as a filmmaker who was on YouTube.
got
So
it.
I started out doing like commercial, like narrative, not narrative, commercial documentary, music video stuff. And I saw kind of like this opportunity in the YouTube world to share my experiences in the more traditional filmmaking space, and kind of like do educational stuff, share my work. So I've been doing that for since like 2017, I believe, and really developed like a really solid community that has a ton of great young filmmakers who have learned from my YouTube channel and have gone on to do really
Right,
great
right.
things.
So
Yeah,
it
I'd say
sounds like maybe you had your filmmaking chops. You've been doing
Yeah,
some,
right. Yeah.
without maybe making a short, but you were doing those other.
Yeah, right.
But
Yeah.
then, have you been writing? Like, so how was writing for you, writing the first screenplay?
Yeah, writing was again is something that was new to me, like especially in this form narrative world. I'd never created characters with that much depth, or had to kind of weave my way through a full story with a beginning, middle, and end that worked for someone to watch for an hour and 45 minutes, or
Uh,
however long the film ended
it's
up
not
being.
easy as a filmmaker, screenwriter myself. So fantastic, and just with the material and the themes and the story and the characters that
Right.
you wrote about, that's challenging also.
Yeah.
Why did you choose this topic,
Yeah.
this story?
Yeah. Well, they say your first one, write what you know a little bit, right? So
True.
I mean, that's basically what I did. I went through some really hard times as a young person, especially my freshman year of college. Like I found myself in a position where I was away from the first time from like my community at home, my parents, and like I'd already had like underlying depression. That was
Mm.
like pretty standard for the most part. That isn't specifically unique to me by any means. And I found myself away from all that, and that common depression kind of started to spiral and spiral and spiral. And as a young person with a small mind, trapped in like your own confines of what you make the world to be, I found myself seeing death as a possibility in my life.
Wow.
And luckily for me, I was able to get over that through joining the track team in college and all this good stuff that was able to happen to me. And now I have the coolest job in the world. I have a great wife. I have a great dog. I live such a great life. And a part of me has always regretted ever thinking that death would be an option for me. And I wanted to create a movie that communicated that message of, yeah, like in your small world right now, like life sucks, but it's not always going to be this way. Just get through it, get to the next thing. There's so much more out there for young people. And I didn't think there was too many movies that did it in a way that didn't pander uh,
Right,
too
right.
much. Like the movie is filled with a lot of dark comedy, and it doesn't do it in like the typical fashion. Doesn't talk
Right.
about the topics in a typical fashion that you would typically see in entertainment. So I really wanted to just like make something that was in that situation as a 19-year-old, something that I would like want to sit down and be entertained by, and b come out of it feeling a little bit better. And I think that's something I was
Well,
able to accomplish with the film.
we think you did that, and on your first
Thanks.
feature. So, yeah,
Yeah,
well
yeah,
done.
yeah.
Um,
Not the easiest topic to wrestle with on the first
Filmmaking
one.
is not easy, period. And then you go and do this as your first film,
Yeah,
that would be a little intimidating, it seems. But
yeah,
you
yeah,
write what you know, and thank you for making it. I'm sure there's going to be
yeah. Of course.
audiences that can relate and appreciate that it's on
Yeah, for
film.
sure. Yeah, for sure. Now, yeah, I've always said like it is like you know everyone out there like knows someone who has taken their own lives or whatever it is. So even if you're not somebody that's going through that specific thing, being able to see other people go through it and seeing that
You're not
like
alone.
yeah, you're not alone in like the frustrations you might feel, or like you're not able to communicate properly with your daughter who's going through something or whatever that may be. Just giving people something that they can hang on to and relate to as well in that space.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's well captured, and you know, uh, I'm surprised you did go for it with your first feature film. Tyler, did you read the script? Um, and then what did you think? What was your impression about these themes, the story, etc.?
Yeah, I was the first to read Danny's script, which I think is an honor in and of itself. And I remember just going on the treadmill, and I was like, I'm going to walk and read through Danny's script, and I was just going to walk for 15, 20 minutes, and then get into exercising, and ended up walking for over an hour and just kept reading and reading because I found it so captivating. And I'd be texting Danny LOL at scene 37 at this joke, or just kind of giving him like live updates as I was reading.
And,
And
and you read it on the treadmill, coincidentally?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
A little
And
slower
so
than Robin's pace.
yeah, a little slower. Yeah, maybe one day I'll get there.
Right.
but yeah, just it was I've read some of Danny's or been a part of some of Danny's um, short films or spec things that he did on his YouTube channel, and maybe short films probably a little too generous for what
Yeah.
Danny was doing on his YouTube channels, but knew Danny was able to create these quirky, fun characters. So to see that on a bigger scale through the script, it was quite impressive. And honestly, not coming from the traditional filmmaking world, there was part of me that was like, I loved it, but I didn't know in context of other scripts or if this was a great script or a bad script. But I just knew myself that I enjoyed it and related to not just one particular character, but to several pieces of different characters as well, and was excited to try and figure out how to get this thing made and see if any brands that we worked with on Danny's YouTube side of things would want to elevate their budgets from a YouTube video to a feature film, and sure enough, some of them were able to. And I think what was actually very helpful was Danny did get the script signed off on by a registered um, what's the proper term?
Yeah, yeah, she's a mental health professional that works with young people who
Yeah.
deal with this stuff on a day-to-day basis. Like that's her job. So her and some of her colleagues read through the script and were able to make some slight recommendations on
Mhm.
things to maybe change out in scenes and whatnot. Took all those notes and they were able to sign off with a
Smart.
letter of recommendation, which was helpful too in trying to find locations like the high school.
Yeah.
Pitching to a high school like
Yeah.
we want to shoot a movie about dealing with suicide is not the easiest pitch
Yeah.
to a school board. So having that letter of recommendation from a mental health professional was
Very smart,
very
very smart.
important.
Not only to get
Yeah.
those professionals as script consultants for authenticity, but also just to as supporters. Well, let's
Right.
geek out a little bit on making the film. Let's get a little filmmaking here. What were some of the challenges? How long did it take? You got
Yeah.
great locations, you got a great cast. I mean, great production values. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. It didn't come easy, and I'm not going to sit here and say it's everything that I thought it was going to end up being because it's an indie film, indie
It
budget. You're
never does.
working,
Never
yeah,
does.
you're working with what you can get, right? Like there's never enough days, never enough time, never, you're not getting the exact location that you want, and you're just constantly adapting to the next thing. But overall, I think schedule was like the hardest part of all of this. Like I've never
How many days?
we did 21 full shoot days and a couple like splinter days or some days where me and my DP just walked around and got environmental shots or whatever
Right.
that was that we needed to get. So just trying to wrap our head around like all the different locations and all the different talent because there are a lot of characters in this movie and trying to get people in the same place at the same
Well,
time.
all the running teams, just the running teams, the running event. I mean, that's
Yeah.
challenging.
So an interesting scene to talk about, that one scene where the teams are running in a pack, gossiping about, why Will tried to take his own life. You never really hear about why he actually did. It's more the girls creating rumors. That whole sequence was shot in 15 minutes without clear audio. We had like one boom. We couldn't get labs on in time. We were running out of daylight because it all of a sudden out of nowhere it started to rain during that day. So we had to push the whole thing back.
Huh.
And so I just hopped on the back of a golf cart with a little Sony FX3 with my gimbal, which was a different camera than what we were using. And I just, just like hurdled the cattle and was like, all right, we're gonna roll. Let's go. One take every single one of those lines was one take.
Wow.
Because we didn't have time to go back and reset because we were losing daylight like second by second.
Very cool. Those are fun. Yeah, I have
Yeah.
notes here. I love your soundtrack. Your soundtrack is very good, and
Thank you.
the audio is really good.
Thank you. Yeah.
So kudos to
Yeah.
that department, the music and the audio departments.
Right. Yeah. It was great. I had a couple of my friends do a custom score on the film, John Wilder and Matt Fell. I really wanted this like binaural, like ambient, like full sound to fill the theater. And there's something with binaural sound. It's like I don't know if you're familiar with it, what it is, but the sound waves are like a little staggered, so they hit your ears at different times,
Hmm.
and they actually create a physical response in your body.
Ah, yeah.
So if anyone has found themselves like cold sweating during a movie, or like feeling the anxiety in that moment, it's from the actual like
Oh,
science of the sound waves that's happening in the binaural tones.
I just thought it
So I
was
talked with
very,
the
yeah, it's
yeah,
very, moody and put the emotion, help
yeah,
with the emotional kind of ride.
yeah. So I was pumped about that, and had some music that we licensed that we're still dealing with the licensing stuff, and maybe having to adjust our music in the what ends up coming out for in streaming and whatnot. So
Right. Isn't
still
there like
dealing with
while the dad's making some Italian food, there's some classics.
Some Dean
yeah,
Martin, I think.
that
Yeah.
song I don't think is gonna make the final cut.
I'm like, they got that song? Wow.
Yeah, we got that. We got some final quotes back, and we cannot afford that.
Yeah. You can find something else. You will. Uh,
Yeah, we already have. Yeah.
oh, good. Tyler, what was something that was the biggest challenge for you as a producer?
I think being more on the YouTube financing side of things, it was honestly trying to keep up with Danny, because Danny is he's such a powerhouse that we're he's like, I've made the crowdfunding page. What do you think? And it's like, oh, okay, let me get caught up on this, and then kind of, I think, working through. I think my primary thing was working with some of the brands that we worked with in the
Mm.
past. So coming up with a new framework for them to understand this in the terms of advertising. So I think in my world, we're seeing a lot of brands become producers on bigger creative projects than simply just wanting to um, promote their product across and get eyeballs on things. They want to be a part of a quality thing. So the one of the uh, bigger contributors brand wise to the film is Milanote. They actually have an in association with at the beginning. They're a project management software that Danny uses. So we were kind of asking them what kind of budget they can put towards it, and then reverse engineering what kind of deliverables we could give them in exchange for that value on through Danny's YouTube channel. So there's a lot of, like, I would say, unique negotiation, not necessarily negotiation like battling it out. It's like, let's find the value together here, and see what can happen. So I think trying to be on the same team with the brands to find where the value was for them, as well as us as well. So that was
How long? Yeah,
the
thank
fun
you. How
process.
long did the whole start to finish making this movie?
Including writing.
Yeah, just your journey for this film, this project.
Yeah, I want to say I started writing like mid 2021,
Okay.
and then we're still
Sure,
still
sure.
trying to
Well, there's other
get it
filmmakers
out to
that
the world.
take years. I mean, people have come into
Yeah,
this festival with a 10-year project, which don't do
yeah,
that, but they do that.
yeah, yeah. A
Um,
couple years. Yeah,
yeah. Well, good tenacity. The performances I mean, your performances are amazing too. I mean, this film is really impressive for a first-time filmmaker. As another filmmaker, kudos to you.
thank you.
Talk about the acting and the casting process, because I mean, this is a tough, filmmaking's tough, acting's tough, and you got some great performances out of these actors, these young
Yeah,
actors. I mean, really
yeah,
emotional, and some difficult scenes and some
yeah.
cute scenes. I mean, we know the difficult scenes, of course. Maybe we can talk
Right.
about that. But I love the after the first kiss. I mean, it's just was that just improv, and the kids just like skipping along the hospital sidewalk? I mean,
Yeah. No, that was all written, but no,
oh wow,
yeah. So I'm like a believer that like there are so many good undiscovered actors out there, and I knew for a fact like we were gonna find the right people. We did it in a whole bunch of different ways. Connor, for example, we found through like the more classic like um casting breakdown sites like Backstage, Actors Access type situation. So I found Connor. His self tape was the self tape. The side was basically him delivering the suicide note in his bedroom, and he drops a single tear when he says, I think I'm sick," and just like brought down the house in that one performance. Like the self tape was unbelievable,
all
and
right,
he has all these like fun underlying talents. Like he was on Broadway and like can dance and like do all this fun
okay,
stuff that Will could never do. So he was like the perfect fit for this character because I knew that scene of him skipping out of the hospital was in there. And then there's also a lot of non-actors in the film. Like Robin is a non-actor, Tia Tardy. She had never acted on film
Wow.
before in her life. I knew her from track and field. She ran track with my wife, and I knew she was interested in the creative arts and stuff. She kind of was kind of the same type of person as Robin, so I knew she would be perfect for it. I'd reached out to her with a side. She sent it back. I was like, "Oh yeah, like, do you want to do this?" And she said
Wow.
yes, and she killed it. Like Coach A, who was the coach of the cross country team, he's definitely not an actor. He's my actual coach from Bucknell Track and Field. uh he was like a big inspiration in my life and like was one of those people that really helped me get through that tough time, so I wanted to pay homage to him and bring him and put him in this film. And then Wes Brooks, who played Spanky, is one of my best friends since I was 5 years old. Like we had sleepovers together like as little kids through through middle school. Like
Is he really like that?
he's not
Okay,
that
not that
extreme, but he
obnoxious?
yeah, he can get there if you want to, but he's like one of those people. Spanky was one of those characters where if the person playing it wasn't genuinely funny, that's an annoying character that
Right.
no one wants to watch. So you had to have the perfect person there. And I knew my friend Wes like was gonna bring down the house. He's one of the funniest people I've ever met. So
That
he did.
character grows on you too. It's funny that,
Yeah.
eventually, you kind of can tolerate him a little bit. It's
Yeah. He's great.
and they
And some of the
they
most
become
fun, yeah,
yeah, they
some
become
of the most
go ahead.
fun moments we had on set was just watching Wes perform. It just we had to do like extra takes because the actors are laughing that he's in the scene with, you know. So yeah,
And he's
he was
walking
crushing
around
it.
nude too. That's pretty courageous.
Yeah, oh yeah. We had what are those things called? A modesty.
Yeah.
And at one point the modesty was failing on him. And he's like, screw it, I'm just gonna take the modesty off. I was like, all right, hold on, Wes. Like we can't do this. Like, let's get him a working modesty. But he was like down to just rip that thing off and let it all hang.
And so what about directing these actors?
Yeah.
What did you look for, as far as inspiration? How did you know how to direct them? It's purely
Yeah,
not
yeah,
from, how was
yeah.
directing?
Directing was tough. Like before I got into it, I was like kind of worried about it because I hadn't done it in certain scale. Was listening to like audiobooks and stuff on how to direct actors. And then the more I like just met my actors and got to work with them, you just like develop a friendship
Yeah.
and a trust between the two of you. And it's less of like trying to direct an actor and more just like two people who are have one goal in mind, just trying to get the best possible outcome for the film. So it was very like casual, and it's like if Connor messed up a scene, we both knew it, and we'd like laugh and be like, "Yo, that sucked." Like, let's try it again, and like, let's do it with like whatever, you know, like tip or whatever I would have to say about
Right.
it. But for the most part, it was like super casual, and I think just creating a safe space where people can fail and laugh about it was certainly key for especially non-actors like Tia.
Yeah. And
Watching Danny on set, watching Danny on set too. He like I've hung out with Danny, know him, friends with him, and then on set he seemed to switch into this like coach mode that I haven't seen before. Very very supportive, but also like knows what he wants.
Yeah.
But communicates it in a very gentle way as well. I remember, I think there's the scene of the porta potties. It was like midday, and then Danny Cloud was coming. He's like, "Okay, everyone, get ready. Cloud's coming. We want to get this shot in this like window that the cloud was like rolling over." And everyone like hit their marks and all that, and then the cloud like dissipated, and then it was like super bright again. So just seeing Danny quickly navigate into coach mode, get everyone assembled, and then
Yeah.
when the scene was over, it kind of back to more
Yeah.
casual
Yeah.
Danny was cool to see.
yes, yeah. And I also appreciate like how, it brought back kind of the uncomfortableness, the anxiousness of high school. You know, you've captured that as well too. You know, the atmosphere, the
Yeah,
ambiance of the
yeah,
hallways, and the just the tension of going to high school and
yeah, yeah. High school is
trying to
just
figure
for
things
me
out.
is like the funniest part of anyone's life, and like I think everyone can relate to that. Like everyone was just kind of like cringing over memories of their high school experience. So it's like one thing that like everyone universally can pretty much relate to.
Yeah, yeah, we're all trying to figure it out too at that age. Like
Yeah,
no one has the answers. Um,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
it was interesting that you chose to kind of conclude the story the way you did, if you will, with the father daughter scenario.
Right.
Um,
Yeah,
difficult scene to watch, but
yeah,
it's a part of what goes
yeah.
on sometimes. So
Yeah,
talk about
for yeah, for the final scene with Robin's father just kind of laying down and like kind of losing himself completely. Suicide, like the hardest part of suicide is the effect that it has on family members. No one really knows how to deal with it when the person they love the most decides to just vanish from the earth on their own time, you know? And it's like I think everyone is just so quick to blame themselves for that, even though it's absolutely no one's fault. But everyone's looking for any reason in the world to blame themselves. And even though we saw that he was such a supportive father and such a great guy, he feels like he didn't communicate well enough and he wasn't listening. Going back to the scene where he wasn't acknowledging the geese that this guy clearly comes up to him and was talking to him about, and then he finds himself like in the water screaming at geese, like just looking for anything in the world to latch onto because it really is just like the hardest thing for
yeah.
a father to deal with, like
Yeah.
especially because that's all he has left, really.
Yeah. Again, a very nuanced film, and you capture these moments very well. And it's very difficult to, as an audience member, also to like, what emotion am I supposed to have? It's like, it's funny because
Yeah,
you're rooting for Robin, you love these characters, right? You're with them, but then,
yeah,
I felt mixed emotions. Like, I'm like
yeah,
sad, but also angry. It's like,
yeah,
it's like, what do I
yeah.
feel? Which is
Yeah, and like so I like purposely structured the film too to be like a complete roller coaster. I want it to be like a extremely high moment, then extremely low moment, extremely high moment, extremely low. So I wanted it to represent like what it actually feels like to have like mental illness and
yeah.
dealing with anxiety and depression. It's like
Uh,
it's not all sad. It's usually like the highest of highs or the lowest or low. It's a very manic state
right.
that you're in, and I wanted to put the audience in that same feeling. Like, for example, when they're jamming out in the car, like Robin's, smoking, and they're having a great time. Then all of a sudden, it probably cuts to Coach A and Robin's father telling her that she can no longer run because of her condition, and it tears her apart.
Right.
So I really wanted it to be like an up and down, and like people to kind of like be confused on how they feel and like why they feel this way, and even at times being confused whether they should laugh or not at a joke.
Right.
Like, is it
Yeah.
okay to laugh in this moment? And it's like I wanted people to like to feel weird about laughing.
Yeah, that happened to me. It's like, is this a funny moment? Is this comedy?
Yeah, yeah,
And it is, or it was, or life is funny. So, who can tell, right?
yeah. Even when there's something very small when Will at the P&P night, he like storms out and he's walking to his car and he drops his keys and fumbles his keys. Like I think in a normal movie that would be depicting something like this, they like run right to the car and they sit down. They don't
Yeah.
drop this key and have this like real life moment. That's like a moment that's like funny, and like just because things are going to shit, it doesn't mean that it's immune to like actual real world stuff. Like
Right. Right.
it's definitely not an escapism movie. It's definitely a movie that like sits you down in reality.
Yeah, for sure. Um,
Yeah.
well, you guys made a great little film here for your first
Thank
film
you.
too.
Thanks.
Well
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thanks for including it into your programming.
easy to choose. What's next for you guys?
It's a good question. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to make another one eventually. I've like written little things here and there, but making indie films tough. Got to recover financially for sure,
Yeah.
mentally. This one's not even out yet. So, well, once this one's like it's packaged up, and I don't have to think about it anymore, and can just let it exist within the world. I think I'll have the clarity to really
Right
go
on.
all in on the next
Yeah.
one.
Tyler, what's next for you?
We cashed in a lot of favors getting this one done. So next one, we got to let some time build up before our relational people bucks hit a point where we can ask those favors again. But Danny's YouTube channel, I know Danny this year
Yeah.
wants to be doing a lot more higher production things, and then breaking them down and showing how he created for his audience. So I think we've got some fun little mini docs and kind of shorter film spec project kind of things that'll be coming out on Danny's channel. So
Yeah.
just setting up the framework for those so that if and when the next one comes up, hopefully we have more sponsors to reach out to and see if we can't get this made in kind of a newer way again.
Cool. Tyler, any last words? Anything you want to add that I didn't ask you? We got to wrap this up.
No, I think you did a great job. Thanks to everyone watching who watched the film. Yeah, really appreciate your time. So yeah, thanks so much. Really means a lot.
Right on. Danny, any last words? Anything you want to add?
No, just thanks for spending the last hour and 40 minutes watching whatever that was that you just watched. Hopefully it wasn't the worst movie you've ever seen.
Definitely not. It was a sweet little film that we appreciate here at SF Indie Fest. Well done, guys. Really. I mean,
Yeah, thank you so much.
we're
Yeah.
impressed, and it's a important little film, if you will. But
Yeah,
so
thank
keep
you.
on making movies, you two. I'll see you at the film festival, right? February 11th.
We're working on it.
Okay, I hope
Working on
so.
it.
Yeah,
But,
Yeah.
good try. Yeah,
I'll be there if you show up. Come and introduce yourselves in person. It's
Will
good
do.
good to meet you guys, and hope to
Yeah,
meet
you
in
as
person.
well.
All right.
Yeah, you as well.
Thanks everybody
Thank you
for
so much.
watching. That's another Q&A for the SF Indie Fest 2024. Thanks for watching this and supporting independent movies. Ciao. All right. How do I
All
turn
right.
this off?
All right. Good work.
Good
you
work.
seem like-
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
You do
still
everything.
recording. Just to note, we're still recording. There we go. Stop recording.